What's up, everybody? Big Cop Diesel coming at you, and I wanted to do a quick video just to give my 2 cents on this mass shooter thing that's going on. Obviously, I'm one of 1 million people that have made videos about this, but I figured I'd pass along my 2 cents to the 3 followers I got about it. And if you share my sentiment, feel free to share this video. If you don't share my sentiment, drop some comments down below. Let's talk about it. Now, I haven't put out too many videos overall compared to other people that are online. But people that know me know that I'm never one to try to convince you of my opinion. I just give you my opinion. I listen to your opinion, and sometimes we can agree on stuff. That's life. Sometimes we can agree to disagree, but I'm never one to tell somebody they're wrong if they don't share the opinion that I have. I just present the facts that I have as I know them, and let the other person present their facts, and that's it. We just we either come to an agreement or we agree to disagree. But I don't get heated. I don't get personal. It is what it is, right? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. But I've been around for a minute. As you can tell, I got a little gray coming in there. So I've been on this ball of dirt we call Earth for a couple of rotations. So I've seen a couple things. And one of the things that I've seen is just how things have changed over the years. And my take on this mass shooter thing is the breakdown is at home. The breakdown is not addressing mental illness. Every single one of these mass shooters are insane. They absolutely are insane. And I know that hurts some people's feelings. It triggers people, but it is what it is. No sane person is going to go into a school and shoot a bunch of defenseless people, children namely, but also defenseless and innocent children and teachers. So that's first and foremost. No one will ever be able to convince me otherwise. And I think that what is being overlooked is the fact that everybody that surrounded these guys, these killers, these cowards, somebody around them knew that person was not wrapped tight. Somebody, whether it was friends, family members, they all knew that something was wrong with these people, and yet they did nothing. Now, I will say that in the instance of the Uvalde shooter, it seems like I read that there was some sort of contact with mental health. I don't know what that means. I don't know if the kid was committed to, some type of 72-hour program, whether he talked to a school counselor or what, but there was some kind of contact with a mental health professional from what I'm reading. But all the people around these guys have failed them. I haven't heard of one instance where you have this kid that goes in and shoots up a school and somebody goes, "Oh, little Johnny was such a nice guy. He was always happy and friendly," and you don't hear any of that. What do you hear? The person was a recluse. The person was some sort of an outcast, maybe having family issues. So that's my take on it as far as the mindset of these people that are committing these crimes. Now, let's talk about the gun and the legislation side of it. Obviously, I'm a gun advocate. I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment. So obviously, there are some politicians that are using these crimes, these incidents, to call for strict gun control. Here's a problem with that. Number one, anybody out there that believes that the government has their best interests at heart, leave me a comment below if you think the government actually has your best interests at heart, because I would definitely love to debate that one with you. But the other thing is, the government doesn't give a shit about those kids. They don't care about those kids. They don't care about their families. They don't care about me. They don't care about you. The government cares about control. That's what they care about. So The other end of it is that you simply cannot legislate everything. There are gun laws in place. Every one of these mass shooters broke numerous laws. So the fact that there's a law in place, what does that really mean? It means nothing if you're not going to follow it. In a perfect world where people were law-abiding citizens and everybody in the society followed rules, that would be a whole different ballgame. But that's not reality. I broke the law today. I broke the speed limit on the way to work. So there you go, prime example. There's analogies about, other things that people should or shouldn't be able to do at certain ages. There are calls for the age to be to buy a rifle raised from 18 to 21. Okay, I mean, that's not a bad law. It's not the worst law out there. But again, it has no teeth, because that law would not have prevented this young man from getting a firearm. And as we speak, I don't believe anybody's even uncovered how he got these firearms. And even so, let's just say he walked into a gun store and dropped, I don't know, $4 to $6 grand to buy these firearms. Let's say he walked in there to buy those firearms and the store was like, nope, you can't buy this, you're not old enough. Just like at a liquor store, if you're not old enough. Well, I got a little bit of news for you. Drinking under the age of 21 is illegal too, but my mom's not here. When I was 15, I drank. You know how you did that? You went down to the liquor store, you kind of went down in the alley back behind it, or the next store over where the local wino hung out, and you said, hey man, if you buy me 2 bottles of Boone's Farm, I'll let you keep one. I mean, too easy. And believe it or not, while getting a black market gun may not be that simple, it can be done. The bottom line is, if somebody is willing to trade their life for yours, there's nothing you can do to stop them. Nothing. There's also calls to get rid of the AR, the Armalite rifle model 15. And for those of you that are scratching your head going, what is he talking about? For those of you that don't know, AR does not stand for assault rifle. But there's calls to get rid of, the assault rifle ban. With the data that's come out with these shootings, you don't need a rifle that fires rapidly. This just happens to be the rifle of choice, and I would chalk that up to part of it being a copycat thing, but it's a rifle of choice. But these shooters didn't need a rifle with that kind of capacity. They just wanted it. When you're in a school full of people who aren't armed and you're shooting a bunch of kids who are not shooting back at you, you don't have to shoot fast. You can take your time, go room to room, shoot slowly, because people aren't going anywhere. So that argument doesn't hold water either, So those of you that think that some of this might be the answer, okay, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not trying to change your mind on that, but it's a slippery slope. That's how this stuff works. There's people that are afraid that the government is going to roll tanks down the streets and go door to door, kicking in doors and taking guns, and that simply won't happen. That I don't see that ever happening. There's too many guns. There's too many people with guns. That just wouldn't happen. But they can slowly erode that right. A little law here, a little restriction there, and before you know it, you can't do anything. So be careful what you're voting for, what you stand behind, because it's all a slippery slope, guys. It starts with one little thing, then it'll be another little thing, and then in 10 or 15 years, before you know it, you won't be able to buy a gun, or if you do buy a gun, you'll have to get a gun that only shoots 1 bullet at a time or something ridiculous like that, and then you'll scratch your head and be like, man, how did we get here? So just be careful with what you stand behind. And I get it, if you're not a gun person, if you're somebody who doesn't really care about guns, then none of this stuff matters to you. You'll definitely raise your hand and say, you know what, I don't carry a gun, I don't like guns, have at it. But the problem with that scenario, so let's run that scenario out. Let's just say overnight the government waved a magic wand and said, okay, we're taking all the guns. And everybody just magically says, okay, no problem, here's all my guns. What does that look like? What does that scenario look like? So you got those of us who are law-abiding citizens, except for me. I sped to work today, so I'm not a law-abiding citizen. But aside from any major crimes, right, everybody gives up their guns. Well, who's going to be left with guns? The government, right? Soldiers, police, people that should have guns all day long. But guess who else is going to have guns? Why everybody was being such a nice citizen, law-abiding, turning their weapons? Bad guys, right? So then what happens when a bad guy kicks in your door in the middle of the night, right? Tries to snatch your kid, tries to shoot up a school. What are you going to do? So these are things that have to be thought all the way through. And I know I'm kind of ranting a little bit, but I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there. Like I said, I'm not trying to convince you of anything, but I do want to give you information. The more information you have, the more informed decision that you can make, all right? It's one thing to make a decision from a place of emotions. Everybody's in their feelings right now because of these poor kids that were killed, and it is very tragic and very sad, but I don't know how more law is going to stop mass shootings. So instead of looking at how Big Brother, the government who cares about you more than anything, can come in and save you, let's look at home. Let's look in our communities. How many of you have friends right now who are telling you, man, my kid is fucked up, there's something going on with my kid? How many of you? How many of you have kids in your own family, a nephew, a niece, your own kid, a grandkid, and they're fucked up? What are you going to do about it? Are you just going to sit around and talk about how fucked up they are, or are you going to get them some help? Because that's where it all begins, at home. If you're a parent and you don't know the status of your own kid that lives in the house with you, that's a real problem. I know in some instances, the kids aren't getting along at home, so they get sent to grandma's house or some uncle or aunt somewhere. Look at that. And the other thing is, look at these kids. These kids do not interact socially anymore. When we were kids, we went outside and played. We played all day till the lights came on, till the street lights came on. We wanted to be outside. We wanted to play. These kids don't do that anymore. They're on a computer. I've seen kids as 5 years old with phones, with games and tablets, because parents are lazy. It's easy to put a phone or a tablet or some kind of other toy in front of a kid to keep them occupied instead of taking the time and parenting and interacting. Then once you get into middle school, we all went through that phase where we don't really talk to our parents, and we talk more with our friends than we do with our parents, and hanging out with mom and dad isn't cool anymore. But you have to find out what is going on with these kids, because parents aren't raising their kids anymore. The internet is raising their kids. So if you take one of these whack jobs who's already marginalized, they're already an outcast, they're already weird, whatever term you want to use, and their only friend is the internet, well, it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out that's not a good combination, because these kids start to indoctrinate themselves, right? So you want to regulate something? I mean, you could try to regulate the internet, but now we're getting into the First Amendment, right? So again, it's big government's not going to save you. Well, all right. Anyways, guys, that's my 2 cents on that stuff. I probably won't do another video on that unless somebody brings up a topic that will require a whole nother video. Let me know what you think, and we can discuss it below. But hey, guys, you stay safe. And make sure you guys are carrying a firearm. Those of you that are legally able to carry a firearm and licensed to do so, do it. It doesn't do you any good at home. All right, everybody, stay safe, and I will talk to you all soon.